What's up, everybody? Little Big Robot's back with another video, as you can tell, because you're watching a video right now on my channel, so I guess you know that. But this is another one of the 12 lines I collect. This is the JOYTOY 1/25th scale line of Mecha. Not inexpensive at all. These are not cheap, but I'll kind of show you what you get. You also have to pay for shipping from China and stuff. It is a Chinese company. But what you end up getting is a really high quality toy. It's painted, weathered. I'll show all that. I've shown them before. I think this is my, let's see here, it's my fourth one. There's probably 15 I want to collect in the 1/25th line. The problem is when you go after a line that's a little more expensive like this, I buy them much less often. So you end up with a collection that grows much slower. And then you wind up with new ones coming out all the time and you can never catch up. So it's kind of this is kind of just more of I pick out what I like in the line. There's also a 1/18th scale line which people go for, meaning that 1/18th would be larger. The figs are quite a bit larger. With that increase in size though is an increase in price, and I'm sure that would slow me down even more. They are fantastic. I really like this scale though too, because I noticed, I'll show you this. It's kind of an interesting little thing I noticed. This is my other line, one of my other lines I collect, which is the 1/24th scale line of robots from Armored Puppet number 57, and they work out pretty well. They're not much larger, so you can actually use the 1/24th scale. So my 1/24th scale Armored Puppets, my 1/24th scale Hexagear, and these guys all look pretty good together, other than the fact that these are painted and weathered. So you do get that, as you can see here. They don't look like they're in the same dirty universe, if that makes sense. But that's the box. As usual, you get great box art. I usually just put these on the shelf or I flatten them down. They're kind of nice on the shelf though looking. You get a set of instructions with a bit of lore. If you want to read that, you can. Which is really cool. They do put a little English in there, which again is such a nice little touch. They don't have to put English on there, but they do. And this is of course the figure. It's a lot of fun to unbox and all that, but I wanted to do that ahead of time so that I could go over some of the details and stuff without, having to do the huge, sound, and takes extra time and all that. So I'll try to get my lighting a little bit better here so you can take a look here. This is the, what is it called here? Iron Wrecker. I thought this one was cool. This is actually a brand new one they just released. So this is more on the later design end compared to my other ones. What's really cool about this one, I thought, is that he looked smaller, much smaller than the other ones. He looked more squat, like a football player. But next to each other, which I'll show you at the end of the video here, next to each other, they're actually the same height pretty much. This one's just built to be a little bit, its legs, I think, seem a little bit more humanoid, and they're a little bit more squished. He's got a lower profile, or at least like a squishier profile. So they seem to be a bit, it seems to be a bit smaller, but it's really not. This is an interesting thing. This is something that I don't think they've done in all of them. Let me see if I can get you a good look in here. It's going to be hard because of the lighting. Let me see if I can get a little light in there. And you can see oh, actually I forgot I can just do this. You can see the cockpit actually has some pretty nice details in this. And then you can do this and actually pull out what would be the seat. And you can see some of the details on that. So that's, when people ask why are these things so expensive, it's because you're paying for painting and weathering and specific little bits. That costs labor or time. And so that's going to cost you more money, and you can see the nice details on the wiring there. So what's really nice about that is some of them have more detail than others, and this is the later designed one. So I think that what they're trying to do is give you a little bit more bang for your buck. There is even little stuff inside there. Cool, they do have stuff inside there. Somebody told me though on one of the groups I'm a member of that this seat was meant to come out so that you can actually use it for 1/18th scale, all the way from 1/18th scale to 1/25th scale like this one. So that's really, really neat, and it kind of shows you how the guy will actually sit on it. It's pretty basic, like that. But I thought that was pretty cool that if you had a slightly larger figure, 1/18th scale, you could put him in there. It doesn't look completely ridiculous. So that's just a really nice touch. I wonder if they're starting to do that to try and get like a more of a universal kind of system where they don't have all these different scales and all of them kind of mold together a bit. You can just see all the little details and all the little paints and of weathering and washes and stuff they add. Now this here is actually is a mountable gun that, you know, is just an option. They give you all these little parts to make a gun, but I wanted to go ahead and I'll go ahead and assemble the gun and show you what it looks like. Before I do that, let's go ahead and talk about these arms, because this is the only weak point I've noticed about the figure so far, is that the arms, excuse me, I got an itch on my nose. The arms are much weaker. You don't have the same clackety kind of tough bendability here. They're just much more easy to move, and on top of that, you can remove them literally from the figure itself really easily. Again, I'm not quite sure why they're doing that. Because it's a Chinese company, I don't know as much about it, but I believe that they're doing that to kind of start a bit of a customization optional type thing where you can swap parts out and stuff. I'm cool with that. But these parts seem to fall off a little bit easier than the older ones. The older ones, I'm not saying the older ones are higher quality. I just think that they might be, with these newer ones, attempting to make it easier to swap stuff in and out, and that's going to lead to some looser joints and stuff. But as you can see, it's a fantastic looking kit. I mean, a toy. The pistons don't actually work, but they have that really cool look. If I were to paint this, if I had this in a blank form and were painted, I'd probably paint it almost just like this, with some metallics and stuff. This is a cool weapon. Again, as you all know, I'm not a big gun person, but I love utilitarian, I guess that's the word, type weapons. And I'm thinking of putting this on the guy and making it look like he's literally using it for chopping down brush or trees or something like that. I thought that'd be really cool, because meanwhile you're sitting on the base with these giant humanoid things, you're going to be doing some humanoid type work using these as that. And then some of these parts adjust and some don't. I think that's a little bit unfortunate that is just hollow right there, this missile part, but still really cool. And then let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. See if the easiest way to do it, because these little parts, because they're painted in really tight, they can be a bit much. And I'm probably going to go ahead and leave the shoulder piece on. I'm going to compare it to the gun in a little bit. Let me see if I can disassemble. In fact, I'm going to take just a second and assemble this one. And so here you have the gun assembled. It's got some options there. Almost all of these will have like a slide-on option or something, so you can take the little gun apart and you can, you know, add stuff to it. You can, you know, they give you kind of a nice modular system, but then they're kind of hard to get off. But so that's what it looks like assembled. Again, I'm not a fan of these huge rifles and stuff, especially for Mecha. It's just not my thing, but they do look really good. And if you need a large gun for, let's say, a larger figure or something like that, you can definitely go that route. So I'll probably end up using that on just a shoulder, in the shoulder version. Here's the figure you get. Their figures are always really good. If this is how detailed these are at 1/25, I couldn't imagine 1/18 just how cool they look. I mean, I'm a part of a 1/18 group on Facebook, and it's one of the only good things about Facebook. And the figures are just incredibly detailed, but these look great. I've had mostly female pilots so far, so I got another dude, so that's kind of cool. You get all of his little weapons. I thought this was interesting. Instead of sending a helmet, they sent, let me see if I can get that to focus. These little parts, man. Come on, focus. There you go. You get a helmet, but it's actually just an extra head. So instead of, I think what they were trying to do is, normally the helmets are a bit bulky when you put them on their head, but I mean, that's how they would look. They are a helmet, you know, that is a head. But they're trying to slim them down, I think, by popping the, let's see if you can just do that. Popping the helmet, you know, on its own sculpt. Come on, get in there now. This is going to be impossible, I think. And then it looks much more slim. I'll try to get that on there. But anyway, then you get all the little parts and stuff. Lots of little fun stuff to lose. You get some little guns for the dude. I always keep these in a big bag. I think you get a pistol. Where is cool? Pistol was kind of cool looking. It was kind of cool. So pretty plain. I'm kind of surprised they don't dry brush these pistols a bit. That would be, you see the details on it when I put it in the light just right. You're really going to see that, so a nice dry brush would be awesome. But honestly, I'm going to keep him in his unhelmeted version like this, because the little quote-unquote kind of scene I've got going on my desk, I mean on my shelf, is them kind of in a relaxed, kind of in between battle phase. So you can see this is more human-like in the way its joints bend. It's not doing the, well, I guess that's one way to show your leg. It's not doing the bit backwards bendy leg, but I guess, let's see if you can do that. It's just a double jointed knee, I guess. So I guess you could do like a backwards leg type thing. I prefer it to look more quote unquote like a human leg. I think it's just more fun. That part gets in there. So, you know, posable, yeah, but you're not going to be doing too many crazy things. I know that some people with like the sniper version and stuff like that, you do into the sniper pose and all that, but that takes so much. Again, I think that's just a ball joint down there. You see right in the middle there, maybe you can see that little ball joint here. Let me see if I can get it to focus. There you go. Come on, focus, buddy. So right in there, it's just a little ball joint. I noticed that actually making some squeaking, which I've never heard on any before. It's a bit loose already, so I'm a bit worried if I mess with that too much. So that might be the difference I see with these. This one is that it seems to be not cheaply made compared to the other ones, but cheaper, made for cheaper. But the quality is still there. It just seems a bit looser. It could be, again, though, how they're designing this new system is to be a little bit more swappable, so you can swap parts out and armor bits and stuff, which I'm completely down with. I would just say that if you're going to play with that a bunch, if you're going to sit there and pose it and mess with it, because as a grown person, you're probably not playing with it, but you know, you're sitting there posing and having fun with it, it will loosen up over time. So probably what I'm going to do with this is just set him down, get a cool pose and everything, and just leave him how he is. Dust him up once in a while, take him down, mess with him a little bit. I really love this part. This all comes off. And what's funny is in the instructions, you'll usually see, I mean, look at the detail on the back of that. That's really cool. In the instructions, you'll see, hey, here's how you assemble the armor and everything, but it's all assembled whenever you get it. But what's fun about that is you can start taking it apart and messing with stuff. I'll have to do that and get a naked version of it, see what that looks like, because that it does look cool to see the mech without. Let's see, can this come off here? See the mech without the armor, so you can see underneath. I think that's kind of cool looking bear like that, isn't it? It looks like a football player. So it's a fun set in that way. It's a little bit more, I don't know, maybe it's meant more for swapping stuff out, I guess, but I love the silhouette so much more, it makes it worth it to me. Is it worth the price that you might pay for this, like $70 or something like that, whatever it is? That I'm not real sure on, but it does make a good looking piece. So I'm gonna set it on the shelf and see what that looks like, and have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye. So this is what it looks like on the shelf. Sorry, I'm getting the shadow a bit in the way there. As you can see, it looks really, really cool. I thought it was going to be quite a bit smaller than the other ones I have, including this big guy here, but it's the same height pretty much. It just looks a lot more squat, which I really appreciate the silhouette if you compare it to that one, especially. You see how much more squatted down it looks, which is really, really nice. I don't know how I feel about the gun. I will probably leave it in the shoulder format or whatever. I'm not a big gun person, as you can see. I kind of just stow them away. I prefer stuff like this, you know. I don't want them walking around necessarily with the big rifles. I think it's a bit goofy, but they look cool for sure. The weapons sure look cool. So I'll probably change it out and put it in just a shoulder format and keep it on the shelf like that. But as you can see, it looks really, really cool. Not bad at all. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.